Once upon a time, deep within a dark and gloomy wood, there lived a family of bears. There was a papa bear, a mama bear, and a baby bear. It was a cozy place with soft furs and earthen floors and furniture fashioned from gnarled tree roots. It was just a little bit too small for 3 bears. He was making his favorite dish, which consisted of fish, berries, and honey. Baby bear was running around the cave, swatting at flies with a twig. He was bored out of his mind and wished that he had a friend to play with. And they were big, bad, scary bears. Their fur was as black as night and their claws were as sharp as daggers. She wanted a new home that was bigger, spacious, and grander than their old cave. But as she walked toward the cave entrance, she noticed a chair made from a gnarled tree root. It looked very comfortable, so she sat down. To her surprise, the chair collapsed beneath her weight. They were truly a fearsome trio to behold. Just then, Mama Bear returned from her house hunting trip. She demanded. "It was me, Mama Bear," said Goldilocks. "I'm sorry, but may I ask why you're here? You're not one of the 3 little pigs, are you?" Mama Bear asked suspiciously. Baby Bear played with a rug, and Mama Bear sat down on a chair to discuss rent with their landlady. She couldn't make out the words, but she could tell that her friends' voices were raised in anger. Mama Bear was pacing back and forth, wringing her paws. And Baby Bear was sitting on the floor with his head in his hands. Curiosity got the better of her and she snuck up to the window to try and see inside. "We have to leave this place right now. Papa and Mama are arguing, and I don't want to be a part of it anymore." Only Goldilocks felt uncomfortable. She didn't want to intrude, so she decided to take a walk around the cottage's garden. She had found the perfect new home for her family, a spacious den under some nearby rocks. "Excuse me," she said timidly. Both Papa Bear and Mama Bear turned to face her, their anger forgotten. Goldilocks continued, "Why don't you take some time to cool off? I'll look after Baby Bear." Mama Bear nodded tearfully. "Thank you, Goldilocks, you're a true friend." When Papa Bear and Mama Bear returned, they found the 2 of them sleeping peacefully in the same bed. They looked at each other and smiled. And as for Goldilocks, she continued to visit her friend often, bringing him food and helping him with his homework. And although their lives were very different, they remained the best of friends. Maybe moving to a new home wasn't such a good idea after all. She and Papa Bear left the cottage, each going in opposite directions. At the mention of her son's name, Mama Bear's anger melted away. "Don't worry, Baby Bear," she said. "I know just what to do." She ran over to Mama Bear and asked if she could come along on her little excursion. She had only said those things in the heat of the moment, and now she regretted them. She missed her cozy cave, even though it was a little bit cramped. Every now and again, he would stumble and fall, and whenever this happened, Mama Bear would turn around and give him a sharp talking to. Finally, they reached a clearing, and in the middle of the clearing stood a beautiful cottage. "I refuse to live in a place where I am constantly belittled," Mama Bear shouted. Goldilocks looked from Papa Bear to Mama Bear and back again. She took a deep breath. "May I be honest with you both?" she asked. "You're acting like children and frankly, it's rather embarrassing." "Then leave," snapped Papa Bear. "Go find another cottage to rent." "I'm not stopping you." It had white walls and a red roof and ivy growing up its sides. Most importantly, it had a sign hanging from its door that read, "For rent." This made Baby Bear feel ashamed and he tried his best to keep up with the others. "It's just what we've been looking for." Without wasting any more time, Mama Bear knocked on the door and introduced herself and her family to the cottage owner. As soon as they stepped inside, they began making themselves at home. Mama Bear agreed, and soon the 4 of them were marching through the woods. She scooped up Baby Bear in a great big hug. "Oh, my little cub," she said. "I have been looking all over for you. Come along now. We're going to our new home." But when she saw the broken chair, she roared in anger. "Who could that be?" thought Baby Bear. He cautiously approached the entrance and peeked outside. All he could see was a girl with long flowing hair. She wore a nightgown and slippers and she held a small basket in her hands. Now, deep in the wood, hidden amongst the gnarled and twisted trees, was the bear's cave. One day, Mama Bear decided that she had enough of living in a cramped space with her family, so she marched off into the woods to go house hunting. Meanwhile, back at the cave, Papa Bear was stirring a pot over a small fire. "Would you like to come inside and keep me company?" They raced around the cave, playing tag while Papa Bear stirred his dinner. Soon, it was time to eat. And although Goldilocks wasn't hungry, she sat down beside Baby Bear and watched as he ate his fill. Goldilocks hesitated. She knew that bears were supposed to be ferocious man-eaters, but this little bear seemed rather tame. So she set down her basket and followed Baby Bear into the cave. As the hours passed by, Baby Bear's grumbling grew louder and louder until suddenly he heard a knock at the cave's entrance. "Hello," called Baby Bear. "What brings you to our cave?" The girl jumped in surprise. "Oh, hello there, little bear. My name is Goldilocks. I was gathering herbs for my grandmother when I came across your cave. I didn't mean to intrude." Baby Bear shook his head. You're quite all right. I'm just a little bit lonely. Once inside, Goldilocks and Baby Bear became fast friends. When Baby Bear had finished his meal, Goldilocks decided that it was time for her to go home. Oh dear, said Goldilocks. Who broke my chair? My name is Goldilocks and I was playing with your son when your chair broke, replied Goldilocks. Goldilocks and Baby Bear looked at each other sadly. They had only just become friends and now they were going to be separated. Then Goldilocks had an idea. The journey to the new cave was a long one and soon Baby Bear began to get tired. After a few more hours, the forest grew darker and the trees more gnarled and twisted. Oh, this is perfect, cried Mama Bear. Papa Bear tested out the beds by jumping on them. As Goldilocks walked among the bushes and flowers, she heard voices coming from inside the cottage. What she saw made her gasp in surprise. Papa Bear was standing in the middle of the room, fuming. What's wrong? Whispered Goldilocks. Suddenly, the front door burst open and Baby Bear ran outside. Oh, Goldilocks, he cried. Goldilocks put her arms around her friend. Meanwhile, inside the cottage, the argument between Papa Bear and Mama Bear had reached a fever pitch. Mama Bear paused. She hadn't thought about what she would do if Papa Bear gave her the ultimatum. Just then, the front door opened and Goldilocks stepped inside. Goldilocks, said Mama Bear. What are you doing here? Papa Bear and Mama Bear looked at each other in shame. Once they were gone, Baby Bear threw his arms around Goldilocks. Thank you so much, he cried. I'm so glad you came. In no time at all, Goldilocks and Baby Bear were fast asleep. From that day forward, Papa Bear, Mama Bear, and Baby Bear lived in their cozy cave once again.